Good morning, everybody. It's time for our second instalment of the road from Suckville. I'm your host, Captain Tilt. Just been checking out my rapid ratings. Check this out. This is the last 12 months. I've gone from my peak of just under 1600 down to my lowest in 12 months at 1352. So we're going to try and put all of that right. And we're going to... So the idea is that I'm going to play 15 plus 10 games, but one per day, and give it my all. So we're going to see what we get. What colour pieces are we going to have? What kind of opponent we're going to have? Okay, we are black against a 1376. Scary. Alright, so recently I've been playing the Scandinavian. I played the French yesterday and managed to grind a decisive advantage before completely throwing away the game in the ending, so not good at all. Right, so here, this is kind of quiet and boring. I think I'll just take with the knight. I don't really fancy bringing my queen out that early and inviting my opponent to develop with tempo. Okay, so far it's just very plain. So it's a 15 plus 10. I have an increment. The key things to focus on today, the sanity check on every move, I think is important. So hovering with a piece before I put it down. My opponent is Freddy88 from, is that Hungary? Hungary, yeah. But a slip of a boy. This is very dull, opening this when they just develop the knight and give up the pawn. But it's solid from white. Except that he's burned about a minute on his fourth move here. So I'm probably expecting him to castle kingside. I mean, already he's developed one of his kingside minor pieces and none of his queenside, so he'll probably develop this bishop fairly soon, and then he'll want to castle that way. So with that in mind, no bad thing to fianchetto my bishop. However, from an opening kind of development and rate of development perspective, I've already lost my d-pawn, right? So this bishop can enter the game without moving another pawn. This bishop, however, needs another pawn to move in order to develop, so there might be a thought there. So it might be worth maybe even something like this, maybe defend with a knight first, push e5, compete for the centre, and then both my bishops can come out. Okay, so finally, after 2 minutes of thought, he's pushed a pawn in the middle of the board. Okay, no worries. So that's quite typical, but it invites the bishop to come and block the pin. c6 is possible, but a bit silly. I'll play my knight out here and invite his bishop to come out, which again doesn't really bother me. I'll just stick my bishop there and carry on with my day. So this is actually worth 9 points for me because Freddy's so high rated at 1376. So I've always been trying to figure out the, how many points you get for a game, and it seems to be about, oh, hello. Oh, we've got ourselves in a kind of Alekhine situation. Tend to just put my knight straight back there, I think. Here, it's just too far away from where the king's going to be, so I think here. Now, if I go here, what's my opponent going to do? He might press on. But let's see what he wants to do, because I can always retreat my knight. He's really extending himself in the middle of the board, so he has got this control over the middle, but by the same token, he's kind of behind in development. And I could try and expose this as a weakness later on in the game. that's generally what happens in the Alekhine. So, you know, Alekhine would be pawn out, knight to here, tempting the pawn to push again. Knight normally comes here, and then there's a few options. But very often you end up with your knights on both of these squares here in the Alekhine. He's made a lot of pawn moves, hasn't he? He's made 5 pawn moves in his first 6 turns. So, am I concerned about this? That's the first question. Why did my opponent play that move? Possibly thinking about this with a huge, very early pawn storm. So where does my knight want to go? Is this playable? If pawn takes, we can trade queens. And then his king has to move. If I do that and knight takes, I take his knight, and if pawn recaptures, we trade queens. And that's no bad thing. So if I do this, pawn takes, takes, my knight has to move. So he's got pawns here and here. My knight can go forwards, backwards, or to the side. Let's do it. I'm doing it. Getting the impression that Freddie likes a think. I took nearly a minute over that turn, but you know, it's kind of a critical position. I don't like the fact from his point of view that he's played so many pawn moves and he's only got 1 minor piece out on the board after 6 turns. And if we can trade queens before the minor pieces have developed, you see, this is a key thing. Later on in the game, if all the minor pieces are out on the board and the rooks are mobile, trading queens like that doesn't seem to achieve much. Oh, that's interesting. So he's now attacking the defender of this pawn. So my thought is to attack him straight back. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So if he takes now, I can actually whip off his queen, then take his knight and mess up his pawns. So I don't think that's really viable. He's a pawn addict, isn't he? He's another one of these pawn addicts. Got a nice development square there for my bishop that he's just given me. After moving this pawn, he's undefended this c5 square. Go on, Freddie. Think it through, mate. So he made his first 3 moves in 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 4 seconds, right? And then 2 minutes, 24, 42, and 35 seconds. And that is quite typical at the lower levels, which is where we are. You know, people tend to rush their first few moves, or very often kind of rush the opening moves, literally blitzing them out as though you're playing 3-minute blitz. And then you find yourself in a sticky situation in the middle game and have to spend 2 minutes trying to worm your way out of a situation that you could have avoided getting into in the first place if you take a little bit more care over your opening. But as things stand, okay. Right, Fredo. Now, thoughts. If we trade, out comes the queen. If the queen comes out, she's hitting this pawn. That pawn's currently undefended. I can defend it with a bishop to here. That comes with development, no bad thing. I can defend it with queen to there, which isn't great because it blocks in my other bishop. Okay, so that's an idea. Knight takes knight, queen takes knight, bishop f5 defending the pawn. I don't know, the pawn's defended by the knight. What am I on about? Slow down, Hunty. Slow down, it's okay. Knight takes queen to... I'd love to kick the queen with this, but I can't do that right now. Other thoughts are knight to here is a thought, puts it in the centre. I could allow white to take my knight, but I don't want to mess up my own pawns. Okay, so I think this looks fine. Queen out, and then I don't have to play my bishop to there because my pawn is defended. What I'd like to do is maybe this, kick the queen, looking down at f2. It's very tempting. Is there any risk? There's no real check ideas. His light squared bishop is stuck. So yeah, I'm going to play this move. What about this other bishop? So he's got all his minor pieces are still undeveloped. I'm doing this. This is an idea. You know, I can just block that, and then if he wants to trade his dark square bishop for my knight, I think that's okay. This is a bishopy board, not a knighty board. And then, yeah, maybe I drop a pawn, but hey, this castle, maybe get a rook on there. Okay, so he's played another pawn move. So he stopped the bishop development idea. That's a decent move from my opponent. I'm inclined to develop my bishop anywhere because I want a castle, I want to get my rook on e8. Yeah? Now how about this idea? If he takes en passant, he loses his queen. That's not possible. Go here, he takes, my bishop takes. Then he's got two isolated pawns in the middle. I think that's worth doing, don't you? Yeah, if pawn takes, bishop takes. That's I'm recapturing with development, and his only piece he's got developed is the queen, and that isn't wise. We had a really good session last night with Chess Bootcamp Live. Craig was on doing Essential Endgames Part 2. This is for the advanced group, so this is for people in the 1250 and upwards, really. Okay, he's run away. You can run away. Now, if takes, queen can't take, pawn takes. I want to develop my bishop. I want to harass his queen. What to do? Here. And I can't recapture immediately with a bishop. I could just put my bishop there and then castle. It's definitely temptation. He's really made life hard for himself, hasn't he? His knight can't come out. His knight's going to have to come there, then that blocks in the bish. So is he going to want to bring his bishop out? Maybe I should just put my bishop here. Or do I... Is there any issue with this pawn coming forward? He's not going to be pushing that pawn forward in a hurry, is he? I don't know, really. Bishop here, castle. If he wants to bring out his bishop, let him bring out his bishop. Here or here. I might like to reserve the option to put my queen on the e-file, so bishop there. I want a castle next. His bishop's only got one square. This bishop's got more scope. Definitely. We've all still got all our bishops on the board. It's no bad thing, but he's now down to 10 minutes. I'm down to 10:49, but I think I'm slightly better. How about this? Ooh, this. Bang, bang, yeah? Okay, now he wants to castle. Now does he spot this threat? If he just goes ahead with his own ideas and castles, he's going to lose material after this. Because there's nothing to block here. So he's going to have to move his queen and drop his rook. Plus, his queen can't even move to a square where it can recapture on a1. So this is a big issue now. And this is only possible because I moved my bishop here. If I put my bishop there, that idea wouldn't have been on. Right, 9:20. We're not playing the clock in these ones. Okay. So well done, mate. You spotted it. Well done. Now, so first question is there any value anyway? I go there. He's going to move his queen there, or there to recapture if I take the bishop. Another idea is to push my pawn forward and try and cause issues there. If I take here, again queen can't take, pawn takes. So basically these are gone. His rook now has more scope, so there's not much point in me doing that. Let's just castle and bide our time. And this bishop's actually really bad, as long as I can constrain this pairing, you know. In fact, if I go there, he's just got queen takes, hasn't he? Yeah, even on the previous move, I couldn't even do that because queen takes. He's got the barrage against me. Now, push. It's a thought, but I've still got a bishop to develop. So maybe my bishop should think about coming around here, something like that. Is there any value in that? Could just push and shut the door on me. What about this? Takes. Again, it releases the rook, which I don't really want to do. I've got rook e8 with ideas of this. That then is workable and comes with tempo. It slightly improves my bishop as well. So I think that's definitely a candidate move, is rook e8. But also bishop maybe to here. Bishop to here is an idea because it attacks an undefended piece. And then if he takes, I recapture with the knight. Quite like that. Right, let's do that one. And keep this one as an idea. I've now connected my rooks as well. So I've now completed development on move 14. My opponent still has one move to go to complete development, but he can't do it right now because he's got an immediate threat to deal with. And if he takes knight take, I've actually now got two pieces looking at h2. So I've got knight and bishop. He does actually have the option of queen takes on here. Oh no, then I just take with the pawn and... Righto. Right-o. I suspect there's some tic-tacs here, but I don't know what they are. He doesn't want to take me and bring my knight out forward, I get that. I have the option of here, hitting the bish. The queen's actually just defending both bishops, so she's quite capable of handling that. Here, if he takes, my queen improves. Then I'll probably want to get my other rook over to one of these two. And maybe think about, now I'm attacking his rook. Maybe think about an f-pawn break. Okay, so he's okay. So now he's completed development, right? So he's connected his rooks out. It's a discovered defense. If I take the bishop now, he can take with the knight. If I take the bishop, he can't take with the queen because he loses his knight. I'm going to play my rook to here, just for good measure. It's a semi-open file. There's none of my own pawns on it. It's the only open file from my perspective, so I want to get a major piece on there. If he does that and knight takes, it's not a great place for the knight to be. But still, the rook's safe, so... It would be better for me if he captures my bishop and I get to improve my knight. And then probably f5, f4, something like that. Still got this tension here. I'm not too worried about. Both on 8 minutes. Don't think a serious mistake has been made yet. Famous last words. I'm trying to think if there's anything else for my knight to do. Now, I'd really just like my knight on that square, to be honest. Is there a Harry Carry idea? Is there a rook lift idea? Well, I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that. Very unusual. I've got a check. Haven't I? Look. Got a weird ass check. Queen in there. You might trade queens, but then I get central pawns again. He's got 2 attackers on there. I've got 2 defenders. Right, okay. If I take... I'm just tempted to take. Take, bishop takes, we trade bishops. Maybe rook comes out, I don't know. Oh, let's just do it. I have got 7 minutes 50, that is enough time. It is kind of a critical move, that one, and I took just under a minute. But I would like to keep the time pressure slightly on my opponent. Bishop takes, I think we might trade off. I don't have to. I don't have to. So I can't do that now. The queen's got to defend the knight. Bishop takes there, I recapture with the knight, no trouble. So I'm thinking that looks like a fairly safe option. It feels like, again, it's like, this is like development plus in a way, you know. This is now building up potential attacking ideas, because I just don't quite have enough stuff. There's a lot of kind of piece tactics going on in the middle, and I don't know. I just feel like I need more firepower, right? If we trade off here, is he going to take back with the rook? Then he lifts his rook off, you see. And I've just helped him do that. If he takes here, he's actually facing a checkmate in 1. So I don't think he's going to do that, because that would force him to move a pawn, wouldn't it? Still got queen here, but this check actually forces an exchange of queens, so either he blocks with the queen or he has to trade. So option 1, queen there, and we'll probably trade queens. Option 2, even queen here? I get a pawn there, but it's not going to be very easy to defend, so I'm disinclined. But that's really my only other safe square, so if that, he pushes there, we have to trade bishops. Right, I'm going there then. I just don't want to put my queen on here and trade and end up with this isolated pawn on d4, which is almost certainly going to fall, and giving my opponent a pawn majority, you know, on this side. I'd rather keep things kind of blocked up for now. Now trading here is all fine. See, if rook takes, which he almost certainly would, I think there, I've got knight here, then attacking this, and he's then going to have to be forced to push a pawn, which is no bad thing for me. So I'd like to move my knight anyway, to give my rook options of coming over somewhere. He could drop a rook in there, but I can drop my rook back and trade out trouble there. Right, he's attacking my rook. If I take knight, I'm attacking his queen. I take knight, pawn, okay. I take knight. He can't take my rook because he loses his queen, right? So if I capture, he takes with the bishop. It's a fair trade. Maybe he wants rid of my knight. If I take his bishop, he takes my rook. No. So I've taken down to 6 minutes each. He has had lots of times when he's had a jolly good think. Like his last 4 moves have averaged nearly a minute each, and he's only got 6 minutes left. So that makes me think if I can complicate matters just a little. So he's, oh yeah, so now he's got 2 attackers on the knight, so he's going to recapture the knight one way or another. He takes with the bishop. I can't do this, right, and try and pin the bishop. Why? Because he's got bishop takes with check, and then I lose my rook. Okay, so he's recaptured with the bishop. Rook here. Threatens mate, and he's going to have to push this bishop, yeah? Then I might drop mine back down to here. Still got concerns about a rook coming in to there. See, I definitely can't put my queen here or anything, right, because of this threat. So, and I can't do that. Don't know if I want to do that. Then that messes things up for my rook. If I go here, and then he pushes the pawn. Is that a thought? Bishop takes. It is a thought. Yeah, there. Bishop takes, I take. So he can't take. He's got to retreat, I think. Quite like that. It's defended twice, see? And I was talking about maybe an f-pawn push, and then I've got like queen f7. That really kind of shores things up on my side. Even g6. Is this a thought? So I think I need to move my queen so that my bishop doesn't get trapped itself, because I can't go there, there, or there. If this, I'm actually out of squares. But right now it's not too big an issue because I can just take his bishop, he takes mine, I win a pawn. Well, he gets the pawn back, but 5 minutes now. Now we move with intent. See, if I'd have seen this, I wouldn't have said this was a 1300 game. You know, this kind of game could be played anywhere from 1200 up to any level I've ever played. So it's a very decent game. Now he's down to 4.5. This is where we try and turn the screw. I've still got this idea. Then if he pushes, can I just take? Pawn takes, queen takes, big threat, queen has to come in. That's a thought. So I am convinced that a big factor in chess is literally how many different things you think about. Oh! Huh. So if I take the bishop, he takes the rook with checkmate. So that ain't going to happen. Right, so let's do this. And now I'm threatening to take the bishop yet again. So you've got to move your bishop, huh? I think so. Now he's down to 4 minutes. So I've got a minute advantage now. Now, the big mistake I made in yesterday's game was I got myself a time advantage and I rushed my last moves, even though I had over a minute on the clock and my opponent was down to like 15 seconds, and I ended up blundering. Draw by insufficient material, because I was trying too hard to flag my opponent rather than not lose. And not losing is very important in chess. Very important indeed. Right, it's 3:20 now. So the key is, I mean, yes, you can make quick moves. He's just going to have to retreat, and I don't think he's going to go there. If he does, I'm not going to move my bishop, I'm just going to retreat my queen. Because if he takes... Oh, okay, there. So I'm pretty sure that isn't a mistake. But what I have done is just hit his clock straight back now. If he takes, I've got pawn takes, and his queen can't recapture the pawn, and is then faced with 2 rooks. Queen can't do any damage really down here. She comes down here, I can drop my rook back. So it's a nail biter, Mr. Frodo. He's coming after my pawns. Now if I do this, then there is a potential barrage with mate here. Yeah? He's got 2 minutes 45, that is enough time. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to take the initiative by threatening checkmate of my own. And his queen's got to recapture. The pawn can't recapture. So queen or rook must recapture. So I have this move, which I think is all right. 220. And he took another 30 seconds there. So this is fine. If takes, I can always put my queen and my rook here. He just doesn't have enough material. And it would all have to start with the queen taking that. So if he trades off, queen comes down here, I can always block. Yes, queen gets pawn. In fact, if he trades off, I take the queen, not the rook. And then he can't drop his queen in there. That's a much better idea. See, that was the problem with that. Queen drops down here. Oh! That's interesting. Takes, rook here, block it. Surely. He's on 145 now. And he's taken 33, 30, 41 for his moves. So I've got 4 minutes 44. Project, don't lose. Queen here, I've got that. Queen drops down. I've got queen there. And then I'm threatening checks and stuff. 130. 90 seconds remain. You can actually take this pawn. Okay, oh, I can't take with the rook. There. If he takes, I've got rook takes. And then rook back. I've also got checking ideas. That forces his rook back here. I can check again. Took 37 seconds over his last move and he's down to 103, 2, 1. 60 seconds to go. This is fine. So I'm attacking his queen. He can't take there. If he goes on the back rank, rook comes back down. He can't take that because he's only got the rook. 50 seconds. And I've got all this time, I can make sure it's not a blunder. It is not a blunder. Rook there, I've got this still. Just need to keep my stuff in line. Nope. So I'm just defending this pawn. If he wants to trade queens, so be it. We're in an equal pawn ending, roughly. Okay. Now I'm going to throw this in. No, I can't. Sod it. Okay, this. "54 seconds. So I want to keep my rook on the board. I do not want to trade everything off. If he takes here, I've got this rook blocks back here. Could force an exchange of queens. Would force an exchange of queens. There's no question about it. Okay. But I'm going to throw in a check. Just to burn a few seconds. Okay. Now I'm thinking about... Okay, if this queen takes, rook takes, he's got to get one of his pawns promoted in 56 seconds. Or do I come back here? No, I definitely don't do that. Let's do this. So I'm just covering the promotion square for that one twice. Get my queen to here or something like that, that's alright. But now I'm just putting the question back on my opponent. This c-pawn can't advance in a hurry, and this one's going to have some trouble as well. I could even play my rook there. If the queen comes off this diagonal, I have checks. 30 seconds. But there's a 10-second increment, so... Okay, so now he's forced the exchange. That's fine, okay, let's do this. Now we centralise the king. If he can't cut me off right now, that's his problem. Yeah, exactly. So now I'm going to play my rook here to stop him cutting me off. And my king can actually handle these pawns. If I get to here, then my king's got this one covered. Oh, need to be concerned about skew on here though. But if his rook comes across, I take this pawn, my rook can always drop down there, and that's kind of good. He's made his last few moves in less than 10 seconds, but now he's under 20. Or king here. Okay, king here anyway. Now I'm threatening to take this. And his king is the one that's quarantined, you see. His king can't get past there. Okay. Now if we trade rooks, it's unnecessary. You can't push that pawn, you can't push that pawn. His rook moves to the side, this pawn could fall, and he's down to 10 seconds. And he can't think that quick. Now I'm threatening this, and this. And this one comes with check. Okay, that's a decent move. So let's come back here and threaten this one twice. I've got 5 minutes on the clock. Okay. And now I've got this check, and he can't come anywhere here. So he'd have to retreat. He's got to make his moves in less than 10 seconds now, really. Okay, if I throw in the check now, he has to retreat, and I think I get this pawn, don't I? Or I can push. Take the pawn. He might have these ideas, but I've got this. I don't need my pawns. If I can eliminate his pawns, then I can't lose. Come back to here. He's got this, and then I can do it like that. Okay. Push forwards, then his rook can't defend it. I drop behind this pawn. Okay. This is interesting. So I take with my king, and now I can use my king and my rook, I think, here. Oh, I should have gone back here. Needed to get, I forgot the pawn's got another move. Oh, is that just a blunder? Is that the critical blunder in the game? Again, with 5 minutes on the clock. No, blown it. And I made that move in 1.2 seconds, right? What I should have done is rook to here. Then if pawn moves forward, I block in the corner. And then my king can move in. Terrible. That's a terrible, terrible error of judgment. Yep, there's nothing to be done. So now, it's all over. Again, it's going to be a loss, guys. And he's got an increment, so as long as he knows how to checkmate with a rook and a king, he's happy. My only hope is really 50 move. So when was the last capture? Move 58, so I've got to make it to 108 moves. Ain't gonna happen. So again, for the second time, I've got into a good position. And blundered the endings, and now, yeah, I only have one legal move, and then that is checkmate. And it's all over. There we go. Oh well, it was a good game. It was a good game, I enjoyed it. We'll have a quick look at the game review. I definitely let that ending slip away. Again on the time. No, well, it was really even till here, and that, like I say, was a blunder. Best move, yeah. Just one square made all the difference, right? And now at 50 plus 9 is totally 1. Right, here it's looking drawish, right? It was the only good move, and I rushed it. Just forgot to count tempi, but hey, there you go. So quite a few blunders in there actually from me. 5 blunders. 80 accuracy and 5 blunders. So let's just see what they were. That's a blunder. Going to end up losing material after all the trades are gone because takes. Nah, it's one of those computer ones. This one was a blunder. Rook to here. Should have traded. Okay. Whatever. So quite a few here. I've really handed my opponent the opportunity, the advantage a few times. Again, he said I should have traded queens. Split his pawns up. Yeah. Then I do this. Yeah, it makes life a little bit easier on that side. But I think my opponent played pretty well as well. Look, he played with 83.8 as well at under 1400. So, you know, he did well. He earned it. We both got a great move, which is nice to see. But there we go. You know, the trials and the tribulations of the game. But tomorrow's another day. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. See you later.